The magnificent. The magnificent.
MagMongoSlade.
The magnificent. The magnificent.
MagMongoSlade.
Lego. All right. Are you ready? Because there was a lot of talk about being ready on this show. We're going to talk about Monday Night Raw from December the 29th. Happy holidays to everybody who is still celebrating holidays, or if you didn't listen to previous videos, I did say happy holidays. Let's get into Monday Night Raw. We're going to try to get through this thing and be respectful, somewhat. Okay? All right, so Austin Theory is officially inducted into the Vision. But he didn't get to talk because CM Punk shows up and he's out here for Braun Breaker. And Punk says that he doesn't think that these guys are going to do anything to him, because if they do, then his match is off next week, or that he might get hurt and the match won't happen next week. So he gets in the ring and faces off with Braun Breaker. And Braun Breaker says that he's looking into the future. That's what the Vision does. But he's tired of hearing about how he's the future. He's the right now. And he says that everybody thinks that he's had things handed to him, but in reality, he's been living up to the highest standards. Okay. So CM Punk says that Braun Breaker is ready, but CM Punk is not ready. He's not ready to let go of the World Heavyweight Championship because the title is a privilege and it is a weight that Braun Breaker cannot carry. Okay. A whole lot of talk about guys being ready. You ready? Okay. So I like the first segment. I really liked the face-off between Punk and Braun. People say, oh, Braun was nervous. He was shaking. Yeah. He's not really this is like his first real tense promo. And it was okay to be a little bit nervous. I'm not tripping off that. His verbiage was really good. He's not stealing from Obafemi anymore. He went off top and did a really good job. He kind of flubbed a little bit when he said that while CM Punk was, what did he say? Trying to make his name in the indies. He was, I guess, playing college football with some famous football player or something like that. I guess Braun Breaker forgot they're like a decade or two apart. While you were in high school or whatever, college playing football, Punk was probably sitting on his couch, half retired, right? And when Punk was on the indies, you were a child. Okay, so y'all not close enough in age, but it's fine. That's just like the one little flub in his promo. Otherwise, it was very good. It was intense. It really showed his character. Punk shot back pretty well. I think Punk did a really good job. And they're really selling me on this match. I didn't like the idea that there's so much time in between the two matches. In between the two matches. In between War Games and the championship match. I didn't really consider the holidays because I forgot TKO, they tape all these shows and put them in the can. So technically these guys did this shit 2 weeks ago and they're still on holiday break, technically. Okay, so it's fine. I love this promo. I loved the Punk part. I loved the Braun Breaker part. Now we got to finish strong, dog. What's the strong finish? Well, Kevin Nash actually noticed something that I didn't notice. And that's that CM Punk wrestled last week in a t-shirt. And I really didn't think about that until he said it. But it's like CM Punk has become exactly what he hated about Kevin Owens, which is, and Sting, and all the other t-shirt wrestlers. He's become a t-shirt wrestler. Physically, he's, I think he's probably in better shape than he was in 2006 or something like that. But he is like 45, 46 years old, and it was a tag team match. I mean, give him some grace. We're going to give him some grace. But Nash was basically saying that Punk looked washed. But he doesn't think that it's time for Braun Breaker to win the title. which is interesting because I want Braun to win the title because Braun rules, and I think Braun is great. But if you don't have a plan for Braun when you give him the belt, then don't give him the belt, right? Will Braun be dead if he loses to CM Punk? No, I don't think so. He survived getting pinned by Jey Uso. He'll be fine, all right? The issue is what's CM Punk doing for WrestleMania? Because I would imagine he has to wrestle Braun Breaker more than once, right? Like, if he wrestles him in January, who is he wrestling at the Royal Rumble? Oh, because they're doing Cody. He's also wrestling on TV. So unless they're going to do a Royal Rumble with no title match, which is possible in TKO WWE, it's possible they have a Royal Rumble event with no title match on the show. And it's just like mid-card shit and then the 2 Royal Rumble matches. It's entirely possible they do that. I wouldn't suggest it, but it seems like something that Triple H might do. So that being said, I'm not upset if Braun doesn't win. But it also depends on how they beat him. If they beat him clean, I'm not going to be a fan of that. I think there needs to be some kind of out. Use CM Punk's veteranness, his experience to trick Braun Breaker or to get some kind of tactical advantage and he wins that way. Use Braun Breaker's intensity against him, but it can't be something corny like a count out or a disqualification. If they do a thing where, Braun Breaker keeps going for spears or something like that, and maybe he nails one of the spears and Punk manages to eat it and roll through to a small package and just a little pull of the tights to win the match, I would not hate that idea. This is one of those times where CM Punk has got to dig into his Bret Hart bag, because I actually do agree with Kevin Nash that it might be too soon for Braun Breaker, or it might just be like not the right time for him to win the world title. Well, winning the world title right before the Royal Rumble is probably not a good idea. If this was like July or August, I would say, yeah, give him the belt. But now, unless he's going to main event WrestleMania with that belt, I wouldn't give it to him at all. But if he's going to main event WrestleMania, then please give him the belt. I love Braun Breaker. But I've been saying for weeks that he should be the world champion. But I guess it makes sense to not give him the belt. I just don't want him to be like, Dolph Ziggler. Because Vince had this thing with Dolph Ziggler where he would keep giving Dolph Ziggler title matches and he would continuously lose. It was the dumbest fucking thing in the world. Like, he clearly liked Dolph. He clearly wanted Dolph in that spot. He really loved his work. But he kept beating him. Like, over and over again, he kept beating him. Do you remember that? Like, when, I think 2 years straight, Dolph Ziggler challenged for the title at Royal Rumble. Once was against Punk, and I think he tapped out, or he got GTS or whatever. And the other year, he wrestled Edge, I believe it was, and he got speared out of his boots. But that's when Dolph was barely over, and nobody really gave a shit about him. He was hanging around with Vicky Guerrero and stuff. I don't want Braun Breaker to end up like that, where he's a guy that you put into the main event spot and he loses, and then you put him in the main event spot and he loses. Kind of like what they do with Drew McIntyre today. I don't want that. So I would rather not Braun Breaker get into this spot and lose, but I'm okay with it. Granted, there's something big for CM Punk at WrestleMania, or if there's something big for Braun Breaker at WrestleMania. But from the looks of things, they're probably just going to end up challenging the Usos. Because the Usos won the tag team titles in the main event of the show. There's not much to be said about that outside of the Usos are the tag team champions, and they're still teasing Jay having these internal struggles, and Jim is the one basically holding Jay together. So they're definitely teasing a heel turn with Jay, but winning the tag team titles is kind of like a band-aid on the issue. They feel like they're going to be transitional tag team champions. Like, this is not going to last very long. And I could see Braun Breaker losing to CM Punk, and then Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed winning the tag team titles. I could see that. as a way of continuing the Vision semi bloodline feud, because the Usos were in the War Games match. So I could see them going that route with it. It's kind of corny, but fine, whatever. Whatever will put Braun Breaker in the best situation to succeed long term, not short term, but long term. In terms of AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, kind of sucks for them. They weren't champions long, I mean, they were really starting to mesh as well. But something tells me that AJ's days in WWE are pretty short. So they're getting Unk ready. They're getting him fit for his casket, because I don't think he's re-signing. So I don't think he's coming back. And I heard his contract ends like early 2026 too. Like it might be before WrestleMania. So that'll be terrible. Hopefully he can make it to WrestleMania. But if he doesn't make it, oh brother, that's gonna suck ass. And it's really bad for Dragon Lee, because he was finally getting something. There was finally like some solid footing for Dragon Lee, and now he's sliding all over the place. That being said, Dominic Mysterio is injured, and they say he's going to be out for an indeterminate amount of time. There's an opportunity there, at least for him to take one of Dominic's belts. I'm pretty sure Dominic is going to get stripped of both the Intercontinental Championship and the Mega Championship. For Dragon Lee, it's probably more likely that he'll end up as the Mega Champion if they decide to go in that direction. But I know they did a promo for like Finn Balor saying he's going to bring gold to the Judgment Day. We should be breaking up the Judgment Day. We should be ending the Judgment Day. Not trying to breathe, doing CPR to the Judgment Day. Pull the plug on that motherfucker. Okay? Pull the plug on it. It's dead. It's over. But the Intercontinental Championship is about to be up for grabs sooner rather than later. And from what I can tell. Unless they're going to really cover up. Unless Dominic's not that bad off. The injury report that I saw said that he's going to be out indefinitely. Which means that they're going to have to strip him. Oh, that's what that sounds like. But Penta came back pretty quickly. He was injured and he was out for like a month, maybe. I think Dominic not defending the titles for a month is actually not that bad. But I would they need to be a little bit more solid on whether he's going to be stripped. And I'm pretty sure he will be. If you use the term indeterminate or indefinitely, he ain't coming back no time soon. So the Intercontinental Championship will be up for grabs eventually. And I think Dragon Lee should be earmarked for that spot. But if you want to give it to Penta, I'm okay with that too. But more than likely, they're going to end up giving it to like a Logan Paul or something like that. Just to piss everybody off. So, AJ Styles is on his way out. That's unfortunate, but that explains a lot about why the Usos won the belts. And then there's that idea that Braun Breaker is going to lose to CM Punk, and then you're going to have the Bronze versus the Usos, and they're going to do their thing. We're going to go back to that, which I'm not thrilled about, but at least the story is already there, and I say I care about story, but I want them to have their own thing that doesn't involve like Roman Reigns, right? But this will involve Roman Reigns, just tangentially. Let's get into something that's not, that's unrelated. Stephanie Vaquera defeats Raquel Rodriguez and Nikki Bella in a triple threat match to retain her women's championship. She stole the pin from Raquel Rodriguez to Hana Bomb. Nikki Bella is likely dating a 22-year-old football player. She's 42. And Mama got a brand new bag. This is Stella got a groove back. What kind of Latina is she? Dominican, Puerto Rican, Spanish. She's some kind of Latina. But this is that version of Stella got a groove back. She's now dating a very young football player. She's walking around in his jersey and booty shorts. What is that? She learned some things from Vince, I see. Amazing. All right. Got to pay that child support. Anyway, people were like, this match was fine. Raquel has been in a situation where, she's been in this situation for quite a few times. Now, while Nikki was the one who lost, and that doesn't bother me, Raquel constantly losing does bother me because she could easily be the women's world champion. And if you wanted to have a dominant women's champion, she would be perfect for the role, especially if you need somebody that you need a hero to conquer them. I mean, basic storytelling would put Raquel over as the champion, and then you would build up like a Rhea Ripley or a Jade Cargill or a Bianca Belair or somebody like that to beat her, or even like a Jordan Grace or somebody like that, a Lash Legend, some other big girl who could stand in there and take her out. But for some reason, they're not serious about Raquel Rodriguez, and I'm not tripping on that. I'm really not. In terms of the other girls in Judgment Day, I think Roxanne and Liv Morgan are going to be a tag team now, I think. And Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, they want a tag team championship match as well. And then there was these promos with the Kabuki Warriors and Rhea Ripley and Io. The Kabuki Warriors mocked Rhea Ripley because Asuka beat her last week. She also yelled at Kairi because that's what she does. There was a brawl where the Kabuki Warriors ran away. Then there was another vignette where Rhea basically says that, Asuka should, enjoy that one win because that's the last time she's going to ever beat her. And Io is not disrespectful. She is disrespectful. And then Io cut a promo saying that Kairi is lost and she's going down the wrong path. And then I see the placard and it's tag team championship match. And it's the Kabuki Warriors versus Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. And I said, wait a minute. Didn't on SmackDown they say it was going to be a fatal 4-way match? Didn't they say that? Didn't they say Lash Legend and Nia Jax, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, the Kabuki Warriors, and Rhea Ripley and Io Sky were all going to wrestle each other? Isn't that what they said? Wasn't that the impetus for Sir Nicholas the Prickles to make an 8-woman tag for, I believe, SmackDown this weekend? I don't care anymore, man. I don't give a shit. Who cares? This is making my eyes burn. God damn it. My God, man. Okay. Next. R-Truth is choked out by Gunther. Gunther was actually sweating a lot in this match. I was like, what the hell's going on here? His match wasn't long either. Obviously, R-Truth is the guy who is standing up for the honor of John Cena. It makes sense in terms of his character, but I don't think we really needed this. This feels to me, I'm gonna just say it. It feels to me like Triple H watched the Death Riders storyline where John Moxley just held people in that choke for forever and decided we needed some of that in WWE. If Gunther needs a fucking real finisher, man. That sleeper thing sucks. It sucks so bad. But whatever. I didn't hate that R-Truth got a match with Gunther. I wasn't mad about that. I wasn't upset about that at all, if we're being honest. Rey Mysterio defeated Austin Theory by disqualification because Logan Paul got involved, which led to Penta coming out there and making the big return and the save. A solo match for Austin Theory, which included a new theme song, which was not great. Not a great theme song, but then again, none of them are these days. All the theme songs these days are really bad. But you can tell, if you just look online, Dave Meltzer, he really has poisoned the well. Unless Austin Theory takes a bunch of neck bumps, any match he has is just going to be, he's not good. He sucks. He's Chris Masters. He's like, Rene Dupree. He's just like, Vladimir Kozlov. He's just like, he's not ready. That's what I hated about. I hate that about Meltzer and all these guys. They really know how to turn these folks against people, bro. I watched them do it so many times, it's embarrassing, but these folks they keep doing it. They keep falling into the same goddamn trap again and again. They think these people know pro wrestling. They really do. It's sad. But they're doing to Austin Theory the same thing that they do to Mariah May. The only difference is Austin Theory never worked in AEW. So him getting dogpiled every time he comes out and does anything. If he's wearing shorts, it's a problem. If he's wearing long pants, it's a problem. If he's got a haircut, it's a problem. If he don't got a haircut, it's a problem. If he's got a beard, it's a problem. If he don't got a beard, it's a problem. If he wins, it's a problem. If he loses, it's a problem. There's just no way of getting around it. They hate this fucking guy. And by they, I mean the dirt sheet folks. You know, because nobody else really puts that much thought or interest in him. You know, they see that they're trying to do something. And it's amazing to me. And I said this, I think, in the comment section to Jim Cornette's video, where I said, who's going to be right? Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez, who talked about how terrible he is and how generic he is and blah, 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 blah. Or Cornette, who has basically adopted Austin Theory. He said that, you know, Austin Theory is like his new adopted son or something like that, which I thought was funny. Like, who's going to be right about the future of Austin Theory? You know? That's going to be an interesting conversation to have in a year or two. It really will be. And I think once Austin Theory turns babyface, it's going to be a completely different conversation. Right? But, right now, he's not given a lot, and he's not allowed to show a lot of personality. He just kind of went out there and took some hurricanranas and stuff for Ray, and worked some very basic, generic heel offense, you know, which is basic storytelling. Ray is a luchador. Austin Theory is not. So Ray is starting to pick up the pace. You slow it down with a takedown or something like that. I can recognize why he didn't go over here, because they beat Ray last week and they don't want to beat him 2 weeks in a row. That's something Vince would have done. Triple H is probably not on the same page with that. And then you also want to do something with Logan Paul, and then you also want to do something with Penta. So now they're building to something with these four guys. So they maybe sacrificed Austin Theory's legitimacy now to give him more legitimacy later, when he likely is the reason they win the tag match, which is sensible, I must say. And I can see them doing that, but it is what it is. It ought to be very interesting if Dominic really is hurt, because you have so many guys now that are floating around on Raw that could really benefit from being the Intercontinental Champion. You know, I mentioned Dragon Lee earlier. Ray is another one, even though Ray doesn't need championships, but Ray doesn't win them all the time. So it really could elevate the title if Ray was to have it, even for a short amount of time, in order for him to drop it to somebody. A Logan Paul could really do wonders for the Intercontinental title in terms of his visibility. If you're serious about Austin Theory, he could be a great Intercontinental Champion. You would have to give him some space to work, but he could be a good Intercontinental Champion. Even if you want to go with a guy like a Bronson Reed, you know, he could be a pretty solid Intercontinental Champion too. But that title needs to have some flavor, you know. You can't do Intercontinental Championship Open Challenge with that. You just can't do that. I mean, you could. You could do anything you want, but it'd be corny as hell and terrible. But then again, so is the open challenges on SmackDown. They're not good. Not good. All right, let's talk about this one final segment. Maxine Dupree, really good promo on Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch's character it's something, all right. You know what I think the problem is? I think the disconnect with me with Becky Lynch is they changed her theme song. And they're still doing The Man. When Vince was there, she was doing Big Time Bex, which was similar to what she's doing now, but it was different. In so much as they were requesting for her to be different enough. Now they're just kind of trying to do a heel version of The Man, but she's still basically doing a different version of Big Time Bex, where she kind of, the big coat and all that kind of stuff. She's just kind of missing the futuristic Jetsons dress that she used to wear when she was Big Time Bex, and that was fun because it was really over the top. But I think the changing of her theme song and everything really just makes everything awkward. But I really was impressed with Maxine Dupri's promo here. I liked her inflection. I liked her passion. I liked her intensity. I liked her confidence. She's really exuding that she deserves to be the Intercontinental Champion, that she's earned it, and that she can defend it, and that she's better than Becky Lynch. And she's really convinced that she's a better wrestler than Becky Lynch. And they didn't say Becky Lynch was washed up this time. I think they actually said that before. And they very quickly they said it about Charlotte back in March, right? Where they was like, Charlotte is, I think Tiffany Stratton said that Charlotte was washed up or something like that. And they very, very quickly had Triple H tweet out, both talents are in their prime. It's like, no, they're not. Charlotte's 40, bro. Ain't nobody in their prime when they're 40. All right, she might be in fantastic shape. She is not in her prime. And they're very quickly trying to get away from that same thing here, where Becky Lynch is clearly the older talent, clearly not in the prime of her career, but she's not like in the bottom. She doesn't like suck or anything like that. She's still very good. But clearly she's not in her physical prime anymore. And they want to utilize Maxine. And the Maxine push has been the one big surprise that I will give Triple H credit for, because I didn't see this coming. Maxine is not a talent I would have seen be so serious. But she's doing a good job at it. So Becky Lynch said that Maxine has improved. She got away with stealing a championship, but 4 weeks in the dungeon can't compare to her lifetime of greatness. And Maxine says that, she's going to beat Becky Lynch and everybody's going to recognize her as the real Intercontinental Champion. ESPN will, even Sports Illustrated will. Everyone will say it. I thought that was very good because it's a twist on the things that Becky Lynch has been saying, which is a twist on the things that Trump has been saying. So I like this. I can pretty much tell that I think Maxine's probably going to lose the belt. But let her keep it. Becky don't need it. She don't need it. So go ahead. Something tells me that Becky's going to win it back. But Becky don't need it. Let Maxine keep it. And do a storyline between her and somebody else. I almost said Natalya. Almost. I almost said Natalya. Caught myself. But let her do a storyline with somebody else, man. Let her get the title over. People care about her. And she's good at cutting promos. And now she's really confident. Becky Lynch is a good character for her to play off of. Let's give her somebody else. I wish they were building somebody else. This would be a perfect spot for like a Liv Morgan or, a Roxanne Perez or somebody who could really, bring a different level out of Maxine, because she can have good matches with Becky because Becky is great and Becky can really bring out the best in Maxine. And she had a solid match with Ivy Nile too. So I'm not going to just say it was all Becky, but that's what I want to see. I want to see her be challenged by other people to see if her improvement is real or if it's just Becky Lynch is a wizard and can make this thing work. And then Ivy Nile is also a wizard that can make this thing work, All right, so the final thing to discuss on here is that Trick Williams was on Raw. He gave Adam Pearce his business card. His 1-800-TRICK. Oh, no, it's 1-800-WHOOP-THAT. That's that's on his card apparently. The 1-800 whoop that, and he's the hottest free agent. You know, I like the hottest free agent gimmick. I don't like that he's out there doing the deals himself. I wish he had an agent. You know, this is a prime spot for somebody like an MVP or an older talent that could really, they could be utilized as a liaison to really make Trick feel like a bigger deal. I would like if they did something like what they did with Macho Man. I don't remember. Most of you guys don't remember this. But they did like a talent search where all the different managers tried to sign the Macho Man, right? And it ended up being Elizabeth. But it was like, Bobby Heenan and, Jimmy Hart and all the different managers at the time. Like, maybe Jimmy Hart wasn't even there yet, but there was like a lot of different managers that, were auditioning and all that kind of stuff to be the manager of the Macho Man. I think they should do that with Trick Williams. Instead of him going back and forth between Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce, it should be like a Kiana James. She would be perfect, right? Where she would go back and forth and try to handle the business dealings of Trick Williams. So he can just sit there and look important without going through. He could talk for himself, but you bring people together not just because, he needs somebody to talk for him, but he also needs somebody to play off of. And that's a strong suit when a character can talk, because he needs somebody to talk to. He needs somebody to talk with. When he gets frustrated, he needs somebody to yell at, and those kinds of things that you could do with characters. So while Trick Williams doesn't need a mouthpiece, if you put somebody with him, just so he'll have somebody to bounce off of and play off of, that could really elevate his game and could also make him not look so desperate, like he's hanging out with these general managers giving him his business card. They should want him on the show. They should be offering him things to be on the show. That's what should be happening. But I don't know what's going on with WWE these days. They used to know these things, man. They used to know these things, brother. All right. So this was the last Raw of the new year, and they ended the show with the Usos as the tag team champions. They wanted to send everybody home happy. Jay Uso was world champion this year, and he won a tag team title this year. Well, I'll be damned. He had a very successful year on paper. On paper. But let me know what you guys think of Monday Night Raw. 2025 Monday Night Raw has been extremely mid. Hasn't been nearly as bad as SmackDown, but it's been close. If SmackDown is like a 3 out of 10, Raw is like a 4.5 out of 10. The very first episode of Raw on Netflix was really good. The first couple of weeks of Raw on Netflix were really good. And then it kind of fell into its regular groove. But even then, they still had some big matches and some big moments and stuff like this. A lot of people are expecting, Chris Jericho to show up next week for Raw. And I don't know. It wouldn't suck if you're gonna have Brian Breaker laying in the ring selling a GTS and then Jericho's theme song plays because he's gonna wrestle CM Punk. I would probably puke. I would probably puke because I'm not so sure I want to see 60-year-old Jericho and 50-year-old Punk wrestling a championship match. But if you put him in a segment where he could help somebody, that would be great. Or you could just put him in the Royal Rumble just for the pop, and then immediately shuffle him into the Hall of Fame, whatever. But I think that's what a lot of people are expecting, is that next week Jericho is going to pop up on Raw. Don't get yourself disappointed. Don't expect too much. But they have a pretty damn good card set up next week. The Women's Intercontinental Championship match, Becky and Maxine. The Women's Tag Team titles, Rhea Ripley and Io versus the Kabuki Warriors. The World Heavyweight title, CM Punk versus Brian Breaker. And I think there's another title match too, but I don't remember what it did. No, it's not. That's it. That's all the belts on Raw. So let me know what you guys think. Talk about Raw over the last year, and I'll talk to you guys later, man. Be blessed and Happy New Year.
Yeah. We're just going